Hello, this is a test. And let's turn on the video. All right, can you guys see me and hear me out there? Yes, excellent, excellent.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm gonna pin mine. So for the recording, got the technology fixed. All right, you need to open up your computers, bring up Excel. Everybody should have gotten the word that I extended the deadline from tonight to Sunday night on the critical path for this project. Okay, you can submit that by a hand drawing or draw.io. Does not matter. I need you to be able to tell me what the critical path is for this project. What are the numbers? You need to be able to identify those.
Sir, so we go back to the building a house project?
Yes, that's what we're going to be working. We're going to be working with that project throughout the remainder of the semester.
Okay, okay. And then with the critical path, we're doing each individual step, not just the major steps of it.
The major steps are just headers. They're not actual steps.
Okay.
So you have to, see if I can get so you can see this up there. I can. You have to be able to if you got like item number 3, well, 3.1 is underneath and 3.2 is underneath, and you're going to do 3.1, 3.2, but not 3.0. You're not charting that. It's the ones in between. Okay? All right. So one of the assignments I had for you was to go out and create a holiday list in an Excel spreadsheet. Has everybody done that? If not, we're going to do it right now. Give me a high sign that you've done that. How many have not done it? Raise your hands. We're going to shame you. No. Okay. So what I want you to do is go out on the web, find U.S. holidays, or I don't care what country. And I have one right here. I'm out through New Year's Eve next year on this list. I'll blow it up so you can see it a little bit better. Give you an example of what we're doing. All the way out through New Year's Eve of 2021. So I want you to go ahead and create that list. If you have already, just hang tight. I'm going to give everybody about 10 minutes to do this, okay? This is part of the project you're building. So you're building a spreadsheet that's titled, it's hard for you to see right here, but it says holidays. You're going to use that. You're going to rename the spreadsheet. Keep working on that. I'll be right back. How we doing? This will be one of the spreadsheets, and it will be in this workbook that you will turn in. Holidays. Copying these down a little bit. I do some others that I've got here. So as you're working on these, notice that most holidays in the US are Monday, Friday. That's not an accident. It's almost always like that. And sometimes you have Thursdays thrown in, but also the Friday will be thrown in too to give you an even longer weekend. So Labor Day's on Monday, Veterans Day's on a Thursday. Oftentimes they'll throw the observance off from Thursday to Friday. Thanksgiving Day's on Thursday, but you'll also get the following, Black Friday off. And the reason it's so important to get a feel for this, every year will be slightly different because the days of the calendar move during the week. So next year, the 25th is on Saturday, and Sunday is the 26th. Is that really holidays? Probably won't be for most of us working, white collar workers. They'll be moved to the 25th, will be the 24th, and this will probably be moved out. I'm actually probably get the 23rd and 24th off. So you get a 4-day weekend with it. So you plan for those. Yes, ma'am. So in order to convert the numerical equivalency date that Excel uses, you go into format, opens up, and you're going to look at, I put the highlight of Excel, not all of them, see. Click on the date itself, the date. Now right click, format. Or, yeah, how do you, is it command? No, it's not copy. Yeah, it's MacBook is the problem. Yeah, it's a broken computer. No, it's not. It's a good machine. So typically what you do is you click on the cell. Here, I'm doing it on the screen. I right click, so I get this menu to open up, and format cells is right there. At that point, you can choose date and so going on there. So you should also be able to get to this through, here's the format command bar. Help there, search, format.
You can go under home and then format and then click there, go down on format and then format cells. And then it'll let you customize it.
Yeah, you can actually, in the search at the top, you can put format in and it'll pop it open immediately. So you can highlight that whole row or just the one cell and change it. How many holidays are celebrated in the United States?
Pulling up 10 federal holidays.
How many?
It was 10 federal holidays for
10
2020.
federal holidays. You're right about that. There are banking holidays, which are generally federal holidays too. But open this up. And this doesn't even have all of them. No, it's not.
Oh, yeah.
This,
You look at different states and
Yeah.
different cultures and stuff,
There we
there's a
go.
lot of different ones.
Depending on where you live, there are tons of different celebrations that occur. And you have to make the decision as an employer, are you going to give them the day off? Typically, you get 8 federal holidays and then 2 floating holidays is the way this works. Is what employers get. More generous employers give more. It becomes more and more of a problem, though, as you become more international. So my wife, bless her heart, was working for a company out of England. She was working from home. All right. England has a ton of holidays. The US has 10 that they were taking. And so the UK employees were out about 50% more than the US employees. Actually created quite a bit of friction within the company. They all perceived that it was unfair from the US side. They weren't compensated for it. Everybody just got what they got. That's an issue as an employer you have to be conscious of. You might say, oh, they get 12 holidays. Well, we'll give the other employees 12 holidays and let them just float them however they want to do it. Same thing. Same with vacation. Everything should generally be equal as you're moving across. And then she was also working with employees in India, which had less days than they did. And so there was lots of resentment back and forth. Matter of fact, my wife says, you know, I was tasked to put together a presentation. I put it together, training. She's the most knowledgeable person about this particular process. And one of the people out of England who doesn't really know anything about it says, well, we're going to re-record this in the King's English. And I'm going, oh, that's pretty nervy. So, yeah, it's makes it appear that there is a discriminatory action going on. And you got to be careful of silly stuff like that. Don't allow your worker pools to become competitive or to feel aggrieved. Okay, so you have, my daughter works in Alabama and they get crazy holidays. They got Jefferson Davis's birthday, and they've got Confederate Memorial Day, which is in May, right across from Memorial Day. And actually, Memorial Day was created so that, this is weird, that Confederates would go to the cemetery on one day, and the Union families would go to the cemeteries on a different day because they had problems with it breaking out. There would be fights and people were getting killed in the cemeteries because they were there visiting families in the same cemetery. And so Alabama still has those on their calendar. Utah has Frontier Day, and the state shuts down because that's about the founding of the state. Same thing with Arizona. Arizona has Statehood Day. What day was Tennessee founded as a state? I have no clue. I really don't care. But that's one of the things they've got. It has to do with the cultures that exist in different parts of the country, and you have to be sensitive to those issues. Living in Bristol, it's not a holiday, but every time a race comes to Bristol, there's 4 days there that the city goes from 40,000 people to almost 300. Traffic is miserable. The residents of the city just hunker down and wait for everybody to leave. And so if you're planning to get anything done that week leading up to the race, good luck with that. They're closing streets, the restaurants are packed. everything's going on with that. And so it's effectively, they actually let school out for it because it's so bad. So you need to treat it like a holiday if you're going to be able to do that. If you let your employers work from home or whatever, you have to think about the local situation where you're working. All right, how are we doing on our calendars? Everybody ready? All right, so here's what I have. So I come over and I start a project. You can go ahead and copy what I'm doing. And I'll just clean this up just a little bit. Get that bold, and I'll make this can everybody see that? I haven't put any date in but the one at the top. I've created nine steps, I think, and the durations on the to the right of that. This is very much like the project we're working on. When I was teaching you earlier, I'll just talk while y'all are working. I have missed talking to you guys. I really have. Doctor's giving me a release. I can start back normal activities. We're going to do a drug therapy, see if we can get my heart under control. And so this is the first day back teaching. And my wife never calls me unless it's urgent. And so my watch is connected, and I got the class started like 2 minutes. My wife is calling. She calls twice. And I'm going, oh man, something must be up. So I got you started on the calendar. I went down, got my phone, called her on the way back up. And she says, no, I'm just checking on you. I love you. Bye. You know, it's just, she's worried about me being here. Not necessary, but it is. People care about you. And I have really appreciated your prayers and thoughts during this time. This time has been kind of a trial for me, and one of my favorite books of the Bible is the book of Job. And you go, wow, how depressing can that be? Well, the book of Job teaches you that God has a sense of humor. There are other places that people take all this so seriously that they forget that we're created in the image of God, and we have a sense of humor. Why wouldn't God have one? Okay. And so there are a couple instances in the Bible that are absolutely hilarious. Not to mention Jonah, where he's running away and God gets a fish to swallow him up and vomit him out up on the beach. But we can talk about that one later. But in Job, Job's gone through this horrendous ordeal, and that's kind of what I've been thinking about. Oh, woe is me, this is terrible. And he has lost his children, he's lost his property, he has now lost his health, and he is sitting in the dust. It's the city dump. He's sitting in the city dump, and his wife comes up and says, just curse your God and die. And he's sitting there, woe is me, and he's starting to question God in the process, and God says, okay, Job, let's have this conversation. I want you to pull up your pants like a big boy. Literally, he says that. Gird up your loins like a man. That's literally what he says. Pull up your pants like a big boy, and I want you to answer some questions for me. And he goes, were you the one who hung the world in nothing? Tell me how that was done. No response. You know, are you able to see the highways in the sea that Leviathan, what we think are whales, their paths, the highways that they travel? Did you create those? How did you do that? Do you make the sun come up in the morning? Do you make the stars shine? Tell me about this in your depth of knowledge. And I'm going, man, that is a really tough rebuke after this man has gone through all of this. And God says, I have my own purpose. And be satisfied with that. There's some other idol worshiper ones that go on that are kind of funny. And those of you who get anxious about things, you need to read the book of Jonah. 41 times God says, be brave, be bold, be strong. He kept telling Jonah that, not Jonah, Joshua that over and over and over again. You know why? Because Joshua wasn't any one of those three things. He was anxious, he was timid, and he was basically fearful. And so God kept encouraging him, says, be strong, be bold, I'm with you. But he had to keep saying it to him over and over and over again. So if we hold these people up and we think that they are somehow supernatural beings, they're not. They're not demigods. They were just average, ordinary people who were called to live their lives in a special way at a time. And we are exactly the same way. And so anxiety is not something that was invented in the 20th century. We all have it. We've been living with it since creation. All right, so we have a duration. So how do we figure out, there are lots of different ways to do one of these. And so you could go in, see if I can blow this up a little bit more for the people on. Is that better for those online?
That's a little bit better. It's still a little fuzzy. That the E is it
that better?
a little better. Yeah, I can see almost everything except for the last two columns. Is E, ES, ET.
ES. What's ES? Somebody tell me.
Start.
Early start. What is LS? Late start. Okay, what is EF? Early finish. What is LF? Late finish. Those are the terms we use from where? Where were we using those terms? You just did the project.
Yeah.
Critical path. Right? We did them in critical path. That's where you were doing them. Okay? We could add 2 more columns out here or for late versions of this, start and finish. So, but I just want to, so I want you to get used to seeing these terms and connecting the task that you're doing now to the task that we're going to be working on through the rest of the semester. This will probably end up being, the task you're doing tonight or we're turning over the weekend will be worth 75 points, and there'll be another 150 points on this project. And that'll be your last grades, except for a test for the final, which will be 100 points. There are a lot of points available in this class. So one test, if you screw up one test, you can easily recover that. You can actually screw up and do, you can screw up both tests and still do decently in this course. Because this is an applied course. How do you do things? How do you get things done? And that's what I want to focus on. What skills you can take with you. This is what I'd like to do all the time where we're in class face to face and get this done. But okay, we're in COVID. Can't fix the rest of it. So if we got this set up, what's the easiest way to calculate this date? Right, but we want it to be dynamic. So what do? I'm sorry?
Would it match the duration?
Yeah, but you don't want to type in the date again. So what you want to do is come to this, because you're going to start on the project date up here, right? And if this date changes, you want this date to change. So you go equals, and then click on that square. Got it? Real simple. So how do we calculate the next day? You just do it simple. Assume that you're working 7 days a week. How do we determine what the earliest possible finish date is? Don't be shy. Well, is it plus one? How would you represent that in an equation? So you're going to make it equals. It's going to be equal to this date, right? One right here, not the one up there, this one, plus this number. So try that. See if it works. Something like that. And it works. And you can highlight all of these. Well, you can't yet. Okay, so what about this date? On task B, what's the earliest possible start date? There's no prerequisites here. We're not talking about those yet. Is the previous one, so we're assuming all of these are consecutive, right? So we're going to equal, and it's going to be the earliest finish date of task A. And it's going to be the same formula that we used before. Now we've got this in, and now we can copy this down the page. Oops. Grab a little handle, put it down the page. And I need to expand it. There we go. So theoretically, we could start on December 1st, and if we work straight through for this entire project, we could finish it in how many days? 26. The 1 minus. So it's 26 days, okay? You know, I give you grace, even 27 if you answered it that way. But that's not realistic in the process. I mean, you could be, but it's probably not. Because we're not working 7 days a week. We're not doing that. You'll have a mutiny on your hands and your employees will quit in about a month. There's actually a maximum value of money when it comes to wages, believe it or not, where the employee begins to value his time off, time with his family, and all more than the money that you could be paying in overtime and all related to that. And so it becomes a less and less, perceived as less and less of a perk, even though you're paying more and more money for it. It becomes more expensive. You don't want to be in that situation. You really would rather hire other people to come in and help. But now I'm going to add one twist to all of this. Okay. I'm going to add, insert column up here. I'll pull these back. And I'm going to say these are prerequisites. All right. So there's nothing here, but let's say that D can't start until A, oops, caps, A, and B must have A, and C must have B, and G must have B. You've got to have D, E, and G, H. All right. Now, give me dates for these. This is where it gets complicated. The math is all wrong here. The first cell's right, because there's no prerequisites. We start on that date. And that was the other thing I meant to show you. So if I go up here and I change this date to 10/10 or 12/10, it shifts all the dates automatically. And that's what we want to have happen when we set this up. So now how do you know which ones can go? Is there a shorter time frame now that this project will be finished, or will it be longer? You think it's longer? Why?
Sometimes it's mostly like in the order, like maybe they're not the number, go to G.
So you have two, D and A are not on the same line. So what do you have to calculate first in order to know what the duration time is? Critical path. That's why I've got you doing critical path now on this much larger project. You've got to know that in order to come up with the actual how long this is going to take. And my guess, based on experience, if you don't have to do these sequentially is the maximum time it's going to take. So if you can have multiple ones running at the same time, because that's what allows you to do on the chart, if you have multiple tasks going at the same time, then it's going to take less time to accomplish the project. That's why you multitask. It should take less time overall to do a task. Okay? So what's the shortest path up here? Find that out. Map it real quick. I'm wondering if I ought to pull you guys a little bit closer here. That help? Okay. I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna clean my lens. Hang on a second. I don't know if that helped or not, but okay.
Well, I see my head too well, but what I'm having to do is sort of bend it like when I bend my screen forward, then I can see it a lot better.
Okay. That's about the best I can do for us right now. Might bring my other camera up next time. Now that I got everything working. So what's our critical path here? We know critical path has got to have A in it, right? That's the first one. What other ones don't have or need, well, what comes off of A? So we know B comes off of A, and D comes off of A, right? So we have two branches off of A. Question is, which branch is faster or which one's longer? The longer one of the two is the one that's the critical path. So where's C? C comes after B. B we've already got here. E is after D. F is after E. G is after B. H is after G. And I is after H. And then they all come into finish. So you have actually three branches associated. I'm going to turn the screen a little bit so you can see what I put on the board over here a little bit. Let me move my bag. That's what the critical path looks like. I mean, or the matrix looks like that you're generating now. The question is, which one's the longest one to get through it? It has nothing to do with the number of tasks on a branch. It has to do with the duration. So what's the one with the longest duration? My guess is the one that has G, H, and I in it are the longest one because there's 31 potential days, 38 potential days. A is 1 day, B is 3 days, and C is 4 days. So that's 8 days total here. This is 8 days total here. Or to get to here would be 8 days. This is 37. And A is 1, D is 2, that's 3, E is 2. Is that right? E is 2, yeah. So that's 4, 6, F, 6 more, that's 12. So your critical path is A, B, G, H, I, finish. The length of that task is the most critical. That's why you have to do what you're doing now on a large project in order to make a Gantt chart work. You have to understand the relationships. This is the lecture you were missing as we were kind of getting through to get you ready to do this project. I feel good today, really good. Good to be out in the classroom. Does this make sense? Okay, I need you to take I need you to finish your chart, submit that on Sunday. Critical path analysis. You need to understand that, okay, for that particular project. And then I need you to take your task list that you're working off of and create these dates so that they work. They're going to get modified, but I want you to do this simple approach to start with. Okay, make it dynamic.
So you don't want to put the prereqs in the dates first.
Prereqs in the dates.
Like in that chart, you don't want us to do like the estimated start just off of the durations
That's not an estimated start, that's early start.
or early start. and
Okay.
Early finish, you don't want us.
Yeah, so this is the one that comes from up there, the start of the project, but the duration is here. And so you have to convert duration from this 1D to a number. You can do that programmatically. You can strip the D off and then convert the 1, which is actually a text, into a number. There are functions to do both of those. You want to strip off the rightmost D, a letter, which is D for those dates, and then drag them down the list. You got them there. A couple that won't work, the ones that have FS in them. So you'll get like, it'll say 27 FS plus 3D. 27 is the step that's the prerequisite for it, okay? FS means it's linear. All right, and we're already doing linearity, so it means literally that you can't run these concurrently, okay? And that from the end of step 27, you add 3 days. There's a delay period. Maybe the concrete needs to cure. I don't know. I don't know what the right reason is before you can start the next one. Doesn't really matter. It can be anything. Matter of fact, somebody says some of these steps don't make sense, and you're right, but it doesn't matter. Don't try to analyze the problem in the sense that, does this make sense? Which I would absolutely do if I was doing this for my job, okay? But in this case, we're assuming that everything in that list is correct. You've gotten past that step. This help? Okay. So next week we will have another submission of this. We're going to do several parts of this in the class, and we're going to generate this list of dates by the end of next week that are correct for the entire project. Not the Gantt part of this yet. The Gantt's coming. That'll be the next week after this. That's the week before Thanksgiving. So, okay, so we'll be good with this, right? Are we good? All right, guys. I will see all of you on Monday. God bless.